Welcome to another episode of the CGC show brought to you by the Association of African Universities here in Accra, Ghana. My name is Adjoa Omie and I am your host. You can join in the conversation by following us on our social media platforms at @A_TV on Twitter, Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube, and at AUTV Official on Instagram. A big thank you going out to GD Makeover GH for my makeup and Akosia Collections GH for my outfit. Today we'll be discussing banking as a career. My guest is here in the studios and ready. I hope you at home are ready. We'll be back after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you just tuned in, you are watching the CGC show on AATV. And today my guest is in the person of Mr. Cletus Tanye. Yeah. He is a multinational banker here to tell us all and everything we need to know about banking as a career. Mr. Cletus Tanye, welcome on the show.
Thank you, Adjoa. I'm excited to be here
to
talk about banking.
It's my pleasure hosting you. Yeah. So you are a multinational banker. How has the journey been for you?
I've been in banking for the past over 18 years now.
Wow.
And I'm a chartered banker. And also I have an MBA in finance, and I did a first degree in banking as well. I started my banking journey as in the sales department of a multinational bank, mainly to get clients for the bank. After a while, I moved on into credit risk management, which is mainly managing loans and assets of the bank.
Wow.
And then I moved to a local bank where I worked also with their corporate department. And currently, I'm doing operational risk management in a multinational bank.
Okay.
Yes. So that has been my 18 years journey in banking in a snapshot.
I believe it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah.
So you have been in the banking industry for 18 years.
Yes.
How do you see the industry so far?
I think the industry has grown tremendously. I mean, when you look at the past, when we joined at the time in the early 2000s, it was when you had an influx of banks coming from our neighboring country, Nigeria, coming to set up shops here. And so it created an avenue for a lot of the youth who had come out of the university to get a place of employment. So since then, a lot has happened, and until recently, we had some banking crisis, which led to other banks being closed down. But it's an industry that continues to grow in leaps and bounds, and so I think it's a good industry. Yeah.
What influenced you into choosing banking as a career?
It may surprise you. I actually didn't set out to be a banker. I mean, in my life, I had thought of becoming a pilot because my dad worked with Ghana Airways then.
Okay.
And so all along till I got to the university. And then I had the opportunity of either doing administration or law. I mean, the two options. So I went to do administration. And somewhere along the line, I just felt that, fortunately, at that time, looking around, banking was a bit fashionable, and so we didn't know what it entails. But I just said, okay, once I'm doing administration, some of the options included banking, accounting, marketing. Why not do banking? So that's how my banking journey started. Yeah.
We have heard a lot about bankers. I personally know bankers to be working in the bank, taking money, helping us cash out and all of that.
Exactly.
What exactly do bankers do? And what does it mean to to be a banker?
Okay, basically, banking is just about moving surplus units. That when I say surplus unit, funds from people who have excess funds into deficit units. That is, people who do not, or companies that do not have enough, but have brilliant ideas and want to execute it and do not know how to go about it. So banking is about intermediating in the financial sector. So what it entails is you sit in between, the banker sits in the middle. Those who have excess funds bring their funds. Those who need funds to go about their project, the banker assess the viability of their project and then extend that funds to them at a margin. So banking basically at the rudimentary level is all about intermediation, financial intermediation. Bringing those who have excess funds and do not know what to do with it, link them up to those who have deficit units. That is, those who do not have but have brilliant projects they want to execute. And that is all about banking. Some would go further where you have investment banking, which goes further to talk about raising capital and other things for bigger projects. And so basically banking is about bringing to... So banking essentially is to ensure that brilliant projects or ideas that we bring up are executed by providing financing. Yeah.
Okay. For someone who do not know what the difference between a chartered banker and a normal banker is, kindly tell us the difference between the two.
Yes, the banking as it exists now, so when somebody says you are a chartered banker, it means that you have gone through the professional training. There's a Chartered Institute of Bankers. We used to be affiliated to the Chartered Institute of Bankers in UK, but it's now autonomous and it's been so for some years now. You've gone through those training, professional exams have been written, and you are certified as a chartered banker. That is a chartered banker. But because if you work in a bank, most cases we call you a banker, but that does not mean that you are a chartered banker. Just as you have chartered accountants, and you also have people working in the finance department being called accountants. Yeah, so that's basically the difference. So if you want to be called a chartered banker, then you have to go through that training. Chartered Institute of Bankers, there are several levels, just like there is a Chartered Institute of Chartered Accountants has various levels. Once you finish the final level and you graduate, you are certified as a chartered banker. Yes.
How long can it take one to be chartered?
It depends on you as an individual, how you want to study. There are some people who can take 2 years or 3 years to go through it and they're able to do it. Some could take about 6 years, depending on their level. I took almost 6 years because I had finished my first degree. I was working. I intended to do, at some point in time, I was doing my master's, and so I had to slow down on some of the courses. So it depends on you. And I think that, so if you want to become a banker, you don't necessarily need to study banking at the first degree level. The most important thing is that you do courses that gives you and perform very well, whatever course, because in the bank you have engineers there, you have people who have backgrounds in agriculture. I have worked with bankers who are pharmacists who went to do pharmacy but found themselves in the bank and now are working. So you can become a banker working in the bank, but not a chartered banker because you have not gone through the professional training. Yes.
I would want you to talk about some of the characteristics of a banker. If a student wants to become a banker, what are some of the qualities or skills that he or she needs to have before venturing into that sector?
Okay. Probably we'll look at the soft skills and also the... I think that the soft skills now, it's all about attitude. Number one, banking has to do with a fiduciary relationship. Somebody has given you money to keep. And so we're looking at people with integrity. You have to have integrity. Because as you mentioned earlier on, you'll be seeing a lot of money, but that is not your money. And so integrity is very important. You must be hard-working, and you must also be good at figures. And those are the basic soft skills. Aside that, as I indicated earlier, for the first degree level, you don't need to be concerned very much about the courses that you do. All you need to do is to do very well. And then even during the first degree, if you still want to become a chartered banker, you can take the Chartered Institute of Bankers courses along the line, so that by the time you graduate, you would have been somewhere very close to chartering, and then you can charter afterwards, and then you do. So basically, you don't necessarily need to do a particular course. I was fortunate to do banking at the first degree level. What it does is that it helped me when I joined after my first degree, when I joined the bank, when decision making is done at a higher level. Because of your training, you understand it better than somebody who probably did not do banking. But it doesn't make much of a difference, because at the entry level, the work that you do in the banking might not necessarily require a degree in banking. Yeah. For instance, if you are taken as a teller at the beginning, you don't need all the courses that you have done, law relating to banking, risk management, and all those courses. You don't need them to. It only aids you to be aware of the risk associated with the work that you're doing, but you would not apply it as it will be done at a higher level. Yeah.
One, in preparing yourself for the job market, I'm talking about students.
Yes.
Getting all of these skills, acquainting themselves with all of these skills. What exactly do recruiters look out for in picking a candidate to occupy a space?
I think they look out for your, number one, you should have, they're looking at attitude, because as I said, do you have the right attitude towards work? Are you willing? Have you schooled yourself in terms of the various software that we use, mainly Office? At your level, it is mainly Office. Do you know how to use Excel, Word, PowerPoint presentation, those basic software? That's all that you need at that level. Yes, because when you enter, different banks have different software they use for different distance. So you can say, I have learned this software, and so I am likely to work in, because a bank may be using a software called FlexQ. There are several banks that use that software. There are others that also use Bank Master, let's put it that way. And so and these are software that unless you are in the bank, you cannot learn them. But what you need is, one, have the necessary attitude, be very alert, be sensitive, and also have integrity. And so whilst in school, ethics, it's very important in banking, the right attitude. For instance, when there's what we call confidentiality in banking. If you are somebody who likes talking a lot, you cannot work in a bank, because you will see a lot, and you have to keep quiet. You would see bank balances that, by the ethics of the profession, you are not supposed to even talk to them, to talk to these balances with even your wife. So that's how, and so they are looking for somebody who can live those ethics of the profession.
So you mentioned some of the softwares that students need to abreast themselves with. You mentioned which one?
Excel, Word, just the normal Office suite. You should know it. You should know how to use it. It's important. And as I said, the other software, once you join the bank, you'll be trained on them. You'll be trained on them. So you don't necessarily need to go and try learning any software. As I said, if you want to become a chartered banker, go through the Chartered Institute of Banking, and also learn from. If you are fortunate and you are in the university and you are in the School of Administration or any other business school where they do banking, it's an added advantage. But that, after completing that, would still not make you a chartered banker. You will still have to go through the Chartered Institute of Banker certification before you can become a chartered banker.
Okay,
yeah,
that's right. You mentioned some skills that students need to familiarize themselves with before. Which particular skill do you think has really helped you? Like in shaping you to become who you are today? You mentioned that you have over 18 years of experience.
Yes.
What is that one skill you think you have that has really helped you scale up in your career?
I think is one, integrity, honesty on the job, and also hard work. Banking involves a lot of hard work. There are things that when I started in banking, when we got in, we're given some jobs that some would feel that, oh, I'm a degree holder, what am I supposed to do? You can even be asked to do photocopy and other things. So the attitude must be right.
Right, okay.
Once you have the right attitude towards work anywhere, you can fit in. And so you need to develop the attitude, be willing to go the extra mile, because in banking there are times that you would be forced to stay in to do extra because either there is a system glitch that means that you have to stay in and do extra work. At that moment, if you don't have the right attitude, you think that it is punishment, but that is what you need to do to ensure that the organization that has employed you continue to deliver the level of service that they have promised our clients, or we promised our clients. And so those are the things that I would say we should have.
And other areas of specialization in this particular field?
There are. I mean, in banking, you have the Treasury Department, you have credit risk. Credit risk is a unit that mainly manages loans, give out facilities, and also manage the recovery of those facilities. You have Treasury that mainly deal with forex exchange, purchasing and buying, and also manages the bank's balance sheet. I mean, and then you have banking operations. That is the unit that manages the branches, the activities that goes on in the branches. You have lately operational risk. Operational risks, you are looking at all the processes, the systems, and the people. Are they all aligned? What are the risks that are likely to throw out by virtue of putting probably the wrong person in the wrong place? How do you deal with those risks? So that bit is operational risk. There is also now coming up a very burden area, digital banking. You see that most of the banks are going to digital platforms. So it is very good. So it's opening up avenues for people who have IT backgrounds and who do digital marketing or digital stuff. So that's so such people will also come into the bank, although they've not been trained as bankers, but you need them to be able to drive those digital agendas.
Do you work hand in hand with accountants?
Yes, the banks definitely have finance department. So you want people with accounting background who would also be looking at reconciling various accounts and also managing the finances of the bank, and so you need people with accounting background as well.
Right. I have so many questions for you, but I want us to talk more after the break.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It still is the CGC show on AETV, and we have been discussing banking as a career. And our guest, Mr. Cletus Tanye.
Yes,
Tanye has spoken a lot on the topic, and he's talked about some of the skills that students will need to equip themselves with before deciding or finishing school and be getting ready for the job market. I'd want you, Mr. Cletus, to talk about why there seems to be a lot of people wanting to join this career path. Unlike other career paths or professions, a lot of people want to do banking. A lot of students will go to university to say, I'm studying banking and finance, I want to be a banker in future.
Yeah.
What do you think has influenced people?
I think in our part of the world, as I started in the early 2000s, when the then President Kufuor came in, there were some banking reforms that were done that allowed for our neighboring country, Nigeria in particular. There was an influx of banks into the country. At that point, a lot of graduates didn't have jobs. They were looking for jobs. So banking job became the easy-to-go area because they were just looking for young graduates, train them, equip them, and then deploy them. And then, so that kind of made a lot of impact. And over the years, these people who went into that area have been able to live very successful life, had families, and live at least when it comes to the middle class, they've lived life that are basically, you would say, comfortable, not necessarily rich, but very comfortable. And so a lot of young people coming up seeing that are enticed to want to go into banking. And it, as I said, it offers a lot of opportunity for people from diverse backgrounds. It's not necessarily that you have done banking, but then it offers opportunities for an IT person can be employed in the bank. As I said, I have engineers who are my colleagues in the office who are now bankers. And so that to me, that's why I think, and also one, because in the banking industry, once you are a banker, as a means of enticing you, there are loans that are given to bank staff at concessionary rates. So not like the rates that are offered outside. And so people are able to, if you're a banker, you're able to acquire basic things that others would not be able to acquire because you are able to access such concessionary loans. And I think that is what is driving a lot more people into the banking industry.
Yeah. Let's go back to the stages that is required to become a chartered banker.
Okay.
So let's say right after high school, which is senior secondary school.
Yeah.
What does one need to do? Maybe going into the tertiary institution.
Yes.
What program does he or she needs to read? Some of the courses that he or she needs to take more seriously, and also the journey into the Chartered Institute of Bankers.
Okay, I think that for going to the university, if your focus is to become a banker, then I would advise that you either do business, because that's where you would start the journey. But if, for instance, your intention is to do other courses and to broaden your horizon, you can still do those courses. As I indicated, the best thing is to come out top of your class, do very well, because usually when the banks are recruiting, they will do what we call aptitude tests. They want to pick up the best. And so if you're already up there in whatever field you are, it becomes easier to be picked in this area. But right from senior high, you could also start with the first level of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, where you could make inquiries with them. They will tell you the courses that you start with. So you can be writing, usually I think they attend classes on Saturdays and weekends and even evenings. So that for somebody who is not probably engaged, it's convenient for you to attend those courses.
Right.
So where if for instance you are doing let's say psychology at the University of Ghana, you can be taking some of the chartered or bankers courses alongside.
Okay.
So by the time you are finished with your degree, you may be halfway through with a chartered or bankers, or even be close to chartering, and so that gives you a head start as compared to your colleagues. And so you can look at that. But then if you don't have the funds to start, because you would have to pay for those courses, I would advise that you go into university, do business, and if you go into any of the business school, they would usually have banking and finance, and then they will have accounting, they will have marketing, and any of those business-related HR. Even in the banks, we have HR people working there because we have HR department that you need to fill. And these are people who have had experience in HR training. And so you can do HR and still be working in the bank. Yes,
right,
yes. And then you can do marketing. There are people who are sent out as marketers who go out to do marketing, and so you can also work in the bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would want you to tell me, what are some of the challenges that students are likely to encounter, especially at the Chartered Institute of Banking level?
I think the biggest challenge is time management.
Okay.
You cannot be at a point in time when I was writing, I used to attend classes on Friday evening, and then some Saturday, the whole of a Saturday, I will attend, and then the following Sunday, go to church. Monday, you are back at work. And so you need to manage your time. And so that's why, for me, at a point in time, when I started my MBA, I had to drop some of because they are in levels. I had gotten to a certain level. I said, okay, let me hold on this, finish with the MBA, and come back to it. So I think that one of the greatest challenges is time management. You need to manage your time well. Sometimes your friends at a point in time would think that you are probably anti-so, but you need to focus on what you want to achieve and get it out of the way. So that's the greatest challenge. Another thing I would say, but that is for people think that it is only the glitz and glamour that you see about banking, but it comes with a lot of sacrifice. Banking is stressful. Particularly those who are in the front line, immediately you go in, but if you are serving clients, if you've not taken your breakfast, nobody is going to wait in the queue for you to go and take your breakfast. So you have to get there very early. You need to take your breakfast, and you need to start work at 8:30. Immediately you start work at 8:30. Those who close at 3, it means that you are continuously working till 3. After 3 o'clock, you need to go back to do back office work, because there are some, you need to go through the vouchers that were done to make sure that everything was done properly. By the time you finish, it's almost 6, and then you're on your way. The following day, you're on it. So that's very stressful. And so you shouldn't just look at your friend who is a banker driving a Porsche car alone. Look at what goes into it. You should be willing to sacrifice. There are times that some bankers go to work on Saturday because they need to close out some deals, they need to close out some transactions and all that. And so at that point, your family should be willing to accommodate all that. So those are some of the challenges that I think bankers go through.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would want you to speak generally. What do you think of the banking industry? What are some of the challenges that I think the banking sector is facing? Not solely in Ghana, but Africa as a continent.
I think that one of the challenges about in the banking industry has to do with our perception as Africans when it comes to being lent money and paying back. you realize that it's sometimes difficult for most people to take loan expecting to pay back. But you see, banking is about, I take somebody's money excess and gives to you for you to execute a project at a profit and pay back. As long as that flow continues, we are all fine.
Yeah.
But then if you break that flow and you are not able to pay back, then you create problems for the bank. So the recent crisis that we had in Ghana was basically people not paying up a lot of their loans.
Okay.
And there was laxity in monitoring. And so a lot of financial institutions accumulated a lot of bad loans. And once that happens, the regulator would clamp on you, and that led to a lot of people losing their jobs, which was not their making. So I think that's the challenge. The challenge is we should have this mindset that the bank is not a charity organization. The bank is there to help you in time of need. And when you borrow money from the bank, you should be willing to pay back, because as you pay back, it is given to somebody else who also needs it to work. Once that those things are there, the other thing, the one major challenge that I would say for banks general is cyber security.
Okay.
Cyber security is one of the greatest challenge because we are moving digital. A lot of the banks needs to update their systems and also have to have systems that will protect them from cyber attacks. There are a lot of people who are they're doing a lot of fraud in the system. And so one of the greatest challenge of the banking sector now is to ensure that across Africa, is to ensure that we have systems that can protect us from fraud and also. So the cost of managing a bank is gradually increasing because the bank has to invest a lot in systems to protect them from cyber attacks, fraud, and all that. And so those are some of the things that I would like to talk about. Yeah.
So based on your experience and also highlighting some of the challenges, what do you think governments or stakeholders, what measures do you think they can put in place to make the banking sector more attractive to people, especially students? Yeah,
for students, I think that it's already, as you said, I mean, it's already attractive. Students are all willing to go. But I think that regulation, the bank for us in Ghana, the Bank of Ghana is stepping up in terms of its regulatory function. It's coming up with new rules that will ensure that when there is an emerging risk that is identified, it comes up with rules that will ensure that those risks are dealt with. And so I think that they should continue to do that, and supervision. The supervisory work of the Bank of Ghana should be supported more and more, so that we would not get to a place where we got to when a lot of banks collapse. So that's another area that I would talk about. For the student, just give your studies the best. Study to become the best in whatever area that you want. And then there are opportunities. Most of the banks have recruitment portals. They don't, these days, you don't send your CV by hard copy or that. They have recruitment portals that you can log in, create a profile of yourself, and then put yourself out there. When job offers come up, you can apply, and you can send in your CV through those job portals, and then you'll be invited for interviews. So I think that is an area that the students should be looking at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, back to basics about yourself. Okay. I would want you to tell me how you juggle work with family, friends, hanging out, having fun. How do you do that?
It's interesting. I think I enjoy my weekends a lot. I have 3 girls, and so I try to create time over the weekends, particularly after Sundays after church. I spend time in the house. I don't go anywhere. I try as much as possible to block that time till the evening to have fun with my family. Sometimes we get the opportunity of traveling together. to visit places that would like to, hang out with. So I think that as we work hard, we should also find time to rest and to fraternize with our families.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically that's, and I'm a person of faith, so I enjoy going to church on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have some misconceptions here for you, and I'll read them out.
Okay.
And I want you to clear
Okay.
or tell us the truth in it. So
Yeah.
the first one says that banking jobs are boring and unsociable.
It's not true.
It's not true.
It depends on where you are. There are some areas in the bank that would be a monotonous job that you continue. But some other areas, for instance, if you are a relationship manager, you manage a lot of accounts. The accounts do different kinds of things. You manage people in FMGC, that is those into, you call them what? Provisions and stuff like that.
Okay.
You are managing somebody who is into construction. You are managing somebody who is into manufacturing. So you see different size of the. So how can that be boring? you go to talk to somebody who has who is in a particular industry, who is into. So it depends on where you find yourself.
Right.
But if you do a particular job that is repetitive for some time, myself, I have been fortunate. Every 3 years, it's like I change role.
Okay.
And so that helps me. So I've worked in different departments, and that has created, I don't ever get bored. By the time I'll get bored, something new comes up, and I jump onto it. It's new. So it's not through.
Okay.
Unless by design, you are given a particular assignment which you've done for 10 years.
Okay.
Definitely it becomes boring.
Because I had one misconception here that I wanted to read to you, that there's no career progression in this particular field.
There is. I know people that we worked together. They started as tellers. Today they are branch managers.
Okay.
So so when you start at a particular desk, ensure that you master that desk. You become the best at it. Even among tellers behind, there's one who is called probably a chief teller, because they know when there is a shortage in it. He can identify where you got it wrong and then tell you. So at that level, when that fellow gets to that level, the next level he's looking at to become an operations manager working with the branch manager. From operation manager, he's looking at to become a branch manager. From a branch manager, probably you are looking at becoming a regional manager where you have a cluster of branches that you manage. You understand? So there is career progression, but it all depends on you. As I said, hard work, sometimes being willing to put in extra would get you there.
Yeah.
And also trusting God.
Right.
Yeah.
So based on your experience in the industry
and
the conversations we've had, we just had, what do you think this career path will be in the next 5 to 10 years? If government and stakeholders had to put in measures to make it attractive, what do you think this career path will be?
I think that we are gradually moving, probably for the local banks, but most international banks are gradually moving more into digital platforms.
Okay.
And so one of the things that I fear for a lot of people pushing to become bankers is that a time would come where you have very small
personnel
number of openings.
Okay.
Because if, for instance, I used to go deposit money all the time at a bank, today there are some banks, all you need to do is to deposit the money probably with a Momo person, move it from that place into your account. You don't need to go to the bank. There are some banks that send platforms to their clients. For instance, if you're a business client, you are given a platform. You can initiate every transaction through that platform. You can receive reconciliations and bank and all that on it. So whereas the odd jobs or let me put it that in quotes, I'm not saying, are moving away to a more sophisticated job. So your skills that you used to have would need to be sharpened more and more at high end to be able to meet those jobs. And so, whereas you have less jobs that has to do with, for instance, now it's self-service. In some banks, you can go in and serve yourself. So that means that if your target is to become a teller and then move on, that's already gone. You understand? And so we just need to continue to look at the evolving trends in terms of technology, because technology is a driver. As technology moves ahead, industries would also move along that same path. So as an individual, how do you position yourself to take advantage of those moves? That's what's important.
I see.
Yeah.
Your final words to people, especially students out there who would want to read banking or go into the banking sector to work there.
I would say banking is exciting. It all depends on you. And I think that for the banks, they are looking for people who are working hard, who are very smart and intelligent, and are willing to work extra. The banks have challenges. They are looking up to you to come out and proffer solutions to those challenges. Everyone who wants to recruit you is not recruiting you because you have done a degree. He's recruiting you to solve a problem. So the question I'm asking, or I'm throwing out to our young colleagues, is that have that mindset. What solutions can I bring? What solution am I bringing to the table? What solution am I bringing to the table? If I'm going for an interview, what can I do? Can I look at the organization? Are there issues that I can profess, think through and profess solution? And at the interview, when I mention it, they look at me and say, wow, we didn't even look at this. Straight away, every recruiter is looking at you because he knows that when you come, you are going to be a solution provider, but not a burden.
Thank you so much. You've shown us that really you have experience in this particular career field. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Cletus Tanye, for joining us. Thank you for joining us. And thank you too for tuning in. You have been watching the CGC show on AAU TV, and it is proudly brought to you by the Association of African Universities. If you have any questions, any comments, you can send them via social media platforms at AA_TV on Twitter, Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube, and at AAU TV Official on Instagram. Big thank you once again going out to GD Makeover GH for my makeup and Akosia Collections GH for my outfit. My name is Adjoa Omie. This has been the CGC show. We'll come your way next week. Bye.